Okay.
Good morning.
Hello. Hello. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzy edition.
Maybe I tilted it down too far, but too late now. I'm sitting down. Ha ha ha. I feel taller because I tilted it down. Ooh.
I still feel short.
Aww.
I mean, you know,
Aww.
it's
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber, and still rainy and nasty, and probably going to be for at least a day or two more. Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
Yeah. So we film on my phone now, right? With this little Joby thing. Like, it's ancient, but it's got all the little double legs that you have to adjust. And every time I put it up, because we're filming on the winding station. So it's got to move, like, every time we set up for the day. So every day when we set up to film, I have to try to adjust it again.
So it's never in the exact same
never
spot.
The same thing twice. Oh, so hey, it's the Dear Becky and Lizzy edition because
Yes.
it's Thursday.
Yes.
And we have some stuff kind of left over from before break,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That we can try to address. I'm a stress ball right now. I got stuff going on, so I'm a stress ball. But
Life.
how is that different than any other day? But I just had break, so I'm not supposed to be stressed, right? Okay. I also have, before we get to that, you pull them up. Two things. I brought in the VSC. Not everyone watches the VSC, but that's our sale of the week type thing. We put Jody Long Summer Delight on sale yesterday for the week, and my Faye Summer top, I was calling it the Lin Summer top, I think, yesterday, but my Faye Summer top I didn't have yesterday, but here it is today. I have not made any progress from the last time it was on the show, but the last time it was on the show was probably maybe during the yarn crawl or something. So it was almost 2 months ago.
It looks super cute.
It's super
cute.
cute.
I can't wait to see how it turns out.
I know. I did part of a row this morning for morning meditation. I did like maybe a row or two. I brought this one with me on my summer break, thinking it's a summer top. I'll work on it, and it was too complicated to work on for most of the break. So I did like 2 rows.
It's got a lot going on, which you like complication, but it's not like hanging out with family knit or
hanging out with friends for knit night, you know, which is why I brought it on summer break, thinking I'd get some work done on it, and I didn't. Not much. And I'm on like ball 3. I have 4 skeins. I might run out. At least Karen, shout out to Karen, has offered to maybe bring back a skein. Or I'm just going to use one that's a different dye lot. I don't know. We'll find out.
And we figured out why you called it the Lin top yesterday. Lin is the first name of the pattern writer. Last name?
Yes, it's Irene Lin. And it's the Faye Summer top. So it was totally confusing for me. I was like, there's a Lin in there somewhere. So, yeah.
That's not a thing.
So I'm not going to work on that right now. I kind of half thought I'd try to work on the squares for Tuesday night. We've heard from at least one knitter online that this pattern I'm tackling, Ariana, I think it's called, which is a bunch of these squares turned on to be a diamond to make a cardigan. I think I showed this one off on Tuesday, and I started doing my assembly line. We've heard from at least one person that it was really hard to make it fit together right, so I have my work cut out for me. But I started my assembly line of doing 10 centers and then 10 row 2s. I have to make like 47 of these. I thought it was 30-something. It's 40-something, even for the small size. So I got 10 of them up to row 3 yesterday, working out some of my stress. I've just started row 4 on one of them, so I might try to crochet while we're talking, and we'll see. I'll probably give up really soon. What is our question, or what can we talk about with?
Well, the first question...
Watch me fail. Huh? Yes?
Goes back to my dresses.
I need water.
I am interested in your dresses as well. I became more curious after the last video. Is this your own pattern? Is it available for purchase? They are so cute. I just love them. Thanks. They are my own pattern. It's I tell everybody, like, that's like, I can't sew. I'm like, it's all rectangles. So a rectangle, rectangle, rectangle. And then I pull it up with a safety pin.
But see, she says that, and I'm like, she makes it sound so easy, and I look at it and go, I couldn't do that.
Well, like,
but that's me.
Quilters are always like, I couldn't make a dress, and when I go to my
And
fabric
you're like,
store,
yes, you could.
and I'm like, you do those 16 pointed stars that are way more intricate. So all of this is just straight lines.
So is it one big rectangle for the bottom, and you just make sure it's the right, but you pleat it up.
I do. But
see, that
it's
to me
not
is like,
when I tell people, because people are like, you put pleats in it. I'm like, but I cheat. So on the bodice and on the skirt, I divide it into quarters, front and back, 2 sides, and then I divide each quarter by 7.
See, this sounds really complicated to me.
Well,
I know it's not.
It's way easier than
haven't
actually folding pleats with a fork or scotch tape.
I think it's like, this is not complicated to me, but for someone at home, this is complicated. But like once you get the practice of it, right?
And then you just match the pins, front, back, 2 sides, and all the 7s. And then you just basically fold it over, and that's it. Like, doop, doop, all the way around, pin the pleats in, pleats. And like, I've seen hacks online of, like, take a fork, and you're basically pleating the fabric to fit the bodice. And because my skirts are all different sizes, like, they're anywhere from 4 yards to 6 yards. So if I divide every, front, back, and 7 pins in between in the quarters, I can just match the pins, pin everything together, and I have all these little, puckers, and then you just fold them over, or you can divide them down into smaller bits. People that sew,
that will make sense to people who sew, right?
Yeah, but no, they're not for sale. I have an extensive floor closet, and
even the pattern is not for sale.
No, it's
because it's not. It's very informal, right?
It's very
like
informal,
in your head type.
But the like. One of our customers, shout out to Shia, I sent her what I did, and she had to adapt it for her body style. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not just, I know what fits me.
Well, and see, to me, that's, like, just to interject, sorry.
Yeah.
But to me, that, like, the part of the reason you started making dresses was because
I'm 2 different sizes.
You're a different size than a lot of patterns.
Yeah.
And so for her to publish a pattern doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. So, yeah, it's challenging.
I'm 2 different sizes split right here. So, like, if I want a t-shirt that fits over my shoulders, I have to get a large, but then it doesn't fit around my waist. And I tell everybody I am a fat girl with no boobs. So, yeah, so I've been, doing dresses, and I know what fits here. And so it's kind of a determining how big a bodice, mm-hmm. And by bodice, I mean, it's just a glorified rectangle. And
it's the rectangle that wraps around here.
Yeah. And how deep do you want it? And, most of mine are pretty shallow. So, I've been making this style of dresses I've been doing for probably 10 years. And then
your other ones are your boob dresses, right?
Which was
So what does that mean?
They were a Ren Fest pattern that I got from McCall's that is discontinued. And it was a Renaissance bodice, and I adapted that. Like, it's not supposed to have sleeves, and I found sleeves that I was like, oh, I'll just stick these on, and they're not, it's not proper or anything, but it was kind of my look for...
You kind of made it up.
Yeah.
And it works.
And it works. So, but those 2, this one and that one are my 2 go-to, because I know how to fit it to me. But I'm not formally trained to sew or alter patterns, and I would love to take classes, but nobody offers them locally. So, yeah. everybody's like, hey, you want to sew PJ pants? And I'm like, I can do that. And I'm like, what's the next level? And they're like, wait, what? So, yeah. And right now I don't have much time to dabble in that. Because I work at a yarn store.
Because I keep her really, really, really busy.
So.
Keeping me in one piece keeps her really, really, really busy. And I don't think anyone can keep me in one piece, so.
it's difficult. It's
all right. Being a businesswoman who sticks up for herself is so hard sometimes. All right. So, what's next?
The other two questions. So, we had a set of discussion requests last week, and we touched on a couple
before break.
Sorry.
You're doing a me thing. I'm like, yesterday, which was the last time I taught class when I was a teacher, which was a week ago. And they'd be like, huh? Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I'm just making sure everyone else does too.
Our timeline works a little, like, the yarn is
the last year, Becky and Lizzy.
Yes. The yarn world is a little vortexy. Like, it was yesterday.
Lots of things were vortexy. I think time is a vortex.
Yes.
Ever since COVID hit.
So, there are two discussion points that we didn't touch on. One was plain wood, coated wood, bamboo, or metal DPNs, pros and cons of each. And then she's thinking about getting a lovely set of wooden needles, wondering what to look for when deciding. And interchangeable needles, are they worth the investment when one already has most of the sizes already covered with various brands of non-interchangeables?
Of what we call fixed.
Pros and
That's
cons.
Our lingo. Okay, let's start with DPNs.
Okay.
And I want to throw into the mix prims.
Yeah.
Which are like a composite material, aka most people would call them plastic. So we don't have the needles here in front of us. I could go grab some.
I'll go grab some.
You want to grab some?
I can go grab some.
Okay. I feel like all three of these are going to end up being personal preference. We can talk about what we like and don't like about them, and someone else may find, like, not the exact opposite, but they may find different things they like and don't like about them. I stopped in a yarn shop on my way home from the Outer Banks, and I said, oh, you have the prims, and the person I was talking to, it wasn't the owner, but was like, I don't like those. And I love the prims. So,
I went with size 8, and we have
a lot of different things. They're not all online. If we talk about something and you're like, ooh, because some of them we don't have regular quantity of. We only have them in certain sizes because we're phasing them out, or we never really fully brought them in. So we don't put those up online necessarily. The most basic, we're going to talk about, she said something about different types of wood. And there are different woods things can be made out of. And we can talk about what we carry.
Plain wood, coated wood, bamboo.
Yeah, I feel like all wood is going to have some kind of coating on it. But some are more slippery than others. Like, we don't have the likey. I have a likey hook here, which is slipperier than these, but more coated maybe, more of a varnish on it. We have the Brittany double points for our wood ones. What I like about wood double points is they're less slippery. So for people who are worried about their needle falling out of their stitches, and that's usually loose knitters, and everyone's looser or tighter than somebody else, but the reason to pick wooden ones is, in theory, they will grip into your stitches better. They will slide out, be less likely to slide out. Some of that depends on the fiber, though. There are people who will use different material of needles for different material of yarns, and I don't tend to be that precise. I tend to just stick to my regulars that I like, and it all depends on what's available, too. Like sock knitting, if you're going to go down to teeny tiny needles, wood will not be available because they will break.
And if it is available, I would tend to avoid it.
I'd be cautious.
Because it's like toothpick thin. And
if you're a tight knitter, you'll snap them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good chance. These are bamboo. These are not bamboo. These are birchwood. Clover and a lot of those others will have bamboo, and some people come in asking for bamboo, and we say, well, we have wood. It's not bamboo. Birchwood is a little firmer and might not bend as much with wear and tear, but even bamboo that bends, it'll still be the right thickness in theory. Yeah. Even if they warp, they're still usable, I think. A con which isn't a con for everybody, is they probably won't be as pointy. Some of our patina, which we don't have those in double points, but that can be part of the conversation when we talk about circulars. Chaogu patinas, which is their bamboo with a patina varnish on it, has a decent point for a wood. These guys are a little more snub-nosed, and some people like less pointy, and some people like more pointy. For some people, pointy needles helps them get into the stitch, and for other people, pointy needles means they're going to split the yarn. And that is not consistent person to person. It's not, or widespread amongst the general population. Everyone is going to have their own experience of that, but we can tell you our experience. I like pointy needles. I just do.
I do, except for prims.
Yes.
Prims are the snubbiest nosed.
They actually have bulbs on the end.
Yeah.
On purpose. And these are designed to grip the yarn a little better with the material. And then that, I'll put it over my face so you can kind of see it, that little bulb on the end. It's not pointy. And in theory, that's supposed to get into your stitch cleaner, not split it, and pull your stitch back, get caught on this little bulb. They call it a hook tip, even though it's not a hook like this. And I really do like these. If I find the 8-inch ones are a little long for doing socks when I'm first starting out. I like the shorter ones. They only have the shorter ones in some sizes. They only have these they don't have these in all sizes because of manufacturing, I think. But I really, really like them. But again, some people don't. Metal, we have Chaogu, and I want to say they pretty much have lace tips. They're pretty pointy. They can be pretty slippery. These are 6-inch. I don't even know why I keep saying the wrong thing. Some people want shorter than 6-inch, and we don't carry shorter than 6-inch. Some people really want them to be teeny tiny, like for socks and things. I find what I like about double points is you're going to have only a few stitches on each needle, and even if they're long, you still can do super small circumference knitting with long needles. So, Chaogu, they're nice and smooth, and some people really like metal for the smoothness, but as I mentioned before, you might find they slip out of your stitches depending on how tight your tension is. I love these for socks, for the teeny tiny sizes. I also love the carbons, spelled with a K. Knitter's Pride makes carbons that have metal tips and carbon in the center, which is supposed to grip your stitches a little better. There's a little bit of a join between the carbon and the metal, and we don't have a lot of demand for these because they're more expensive, so we don't carry them in all sizes. I just haven't reordered them in a while. I don't think they're online because of that, so contact us if you want them.
I'm not a fan
of
the carbons because I don't think, like, for the stickiest, if you're looking for sticky, I think the carbons are, like, the stickiest of all the options.
Okay.
Like, because I have a really hard time. I'm not a tight knitter, but I have a really hard time slipping my stitches. And
like they're too sticky.
Yeah, like they're too sticky. And I would rather use wood, and I don't like the wood. Like, I want pointy and fast. We had some Sonics that were made by Collage, and one end was super pointy. It was the pointiest point.
This company.
Yeah, and one end was snub-nosed.
So, yeah.
And I loved those. They were super slick.
Which Addie makes ones that have a sharp point and a dull point, which is, like, the cool thing about that. We don't carry them, but the cool thing, they're called flip sticks. And, no, are the flip sticks the ones that bend? I don't know.
Flip sticks are the ones that bend.
Okay. So they're multi-points, though, and that one is dull and one is sharp. And the idea is if you keep them going in the right direction as you go around, if you're one of those who pushes your stitches down for what you hold in your left hand to knit, you can push on the non-pointy end, and you can use the pointy end of the next needle to make sure that you get into your stitches right. And that means, again, the dull end is on the side that you're going to push, so you're not poking a hole in your finger. That's what I like about those. But we don't carry those. We have a few of the Sonics left, but
they're in random
super
sizes.
random sizes. I was just trying to figure out, I want to say the carbons might be a little heavier than the metal, because the full metal shaft, they're hollow metal, so I feel like the carbons are a little bit heavier. So the bigger the needle, the heavier it's going to be to hold and work with. Collage are the original square needles, and again, we only have these in certain sizes. The circulars of these we're moving out of the shop. We haven't reordered the double points either. I find for me, the square ones, they're supposed to ease discomfort in your hands if you have that. They're supposed to make a more even stitch size. But I also find that my tension's different. Like, you can find between manufacturers your tension will be different regardless. But I find my tension, my gauge, my stitch gauge is smaller. So when I use the square needles. I found the same thing, total aside. My gauge is different using the prim hooks than with using other hooks. So again, manufacturers, like, it's not that they're different sizes, it's just how I hold them and how I use them can change how my stitches come out and the size of them. So, but I would say coated wood versus wood. If it's raw wood, I don't think anything's super raw wood unless you've sanded it down. The more raw the wood, the stickier it's going to be. And some people will like that and some people won't. If we had the Likey double points, I would recommend them for people who want a slicker feel, a slicker surface for their stitches, but don't like the cold feeling of metal. Like, wood feels warmer in your hands. Metal can often warm up in your hands, but some people, or the clackiness of metal, some people don't like that. So I feel like Likey is right in between. But again, we don't carry their double points currently. So
I out of the choices that we have in the shop, which is completely weird, I like the prims. Because I like pointy and I like super slick. But the prims, like, they're triangular in the middle, so it has that...
It's almost like the squares.
It's almost like the squares, where it's more ergonomic for you. Mm-hmm. I like the fact they're lightweight. Like,
That's true. They're very lightweight, even the 8-inch ones.
Yeah, I like double points. I really like them, which is weird, because I don't like purling or, other things. But I'll do whole gnome hats on prims because I like them that much. Like, instead of starting on a circular, I'll just do the whole thing on a double point. It doesn't bother me. If it has to be two, it has to be two circulars, because I'll never finish the second one. So
we only have like 5 minutes left because we started filming late because life. Was the next question about
interchangeable?
No, there was something in between. Can you take a look?
Yes.
It might have still been just like the wood circulars, maybe.
I'm getting appreciative of a lovely set of wooden needles, wondering what to look for when deciding.
Well, see, and that's the other thing. We can address the interchangeables kind of briefly, or we can hold off till next week. For a set of any needles, especially wood ones, it really depends. Do you want them pointy? Do you want them, do you want a slicker wood or not? That's often the same as interchangeables. I think that we often tell people, get one or two before you get a whole set. Test out one or two of a single, of a fixed variety, and see if you like it. And if you like it, then you're ready to invest in a whole set.
When the shop first opened and I learned to knit, and you got in the blue Likeys, everybody went nuts.
Because the color was pretty. And
I played with some Likeys. I just played with the fixed because A, I was just learning to knit, and B, I wanted to try all of, what do I like about needles? What do I not like? My biggest dislike in needles is any memory in the cord. And I learned that the only company without memory
is
Chowgoo.
Yeah. And by memory, we mean the memory of being in the package, when it's twisted up in the package and you take it out and it still wants to twist like it was in the package. A lot of people call that memory in the cord. And a lot of plastic cords, the clear plastic, Addie's cords, the black plastic of Likey's, some of Likey's, like with the blue, and some of the new ones have that are a little more flexible, but they're still going to have some memory. So that's something to keep in mind. It's kind of like different types of small circumference knitting where you can do it with double points or 2 circulars or magic loop. It's like they're all weird in some way. Which one is the least weird for you? Yeah. Which annoyance is a least annoying for you? You know. Some wooden ones, and I can't speak to all the different brands because we don't carry them all, so I can't remember what a lot of other brands do, but some will have swivel, even on the fixed, like the tip will swivel on the cord, and that can keep, that can be nice when there's memory and kinkiness. That can be nice when you have interchangeables because it might keep them from untwisting, the tips from untwisting on you. So, we could expand further on the whole interchangeable thing. But a short answer to the question, should you get an interchangeable set if you already have a lot of needles, a lot of fixed needles? Again, that's kind of personal preference. It's a big chunk of change to invest in an interchangeable set. And if you already have a lot of what you're going to use in fixed, like over a lifetime, if you do a lot of knitting and a lot of different sizes of needles, an interchangeable set is super cost effective. Because you can make so many different combos that it's a lot cheaper than having all the combos you can possibly make with an interchangeable set in fixed. However, if you have multiple projects on needles, you're going to eat those up fast and then still have to buy more needles or finish your projects. If you already have a lot of the fixed ones you need and they're not engaged in projects, you might be just fine. And some people don't like interchangeables, potentially the tips coming off, which it's hard to absolutely make sure they're never going to come off. Even the ones that like guarantee they're not going to come off, it can happen. So some people like fixed because they like the smooth join. They like that they're never going to have a snag on it because it's never going to come loose. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
People always ask me, well, which do you like better? I have 179 projects on needles. I have all of them. Like,
you mean the different types of interchangeables?
Yeah. I was
just talking interchangeables versus fixed.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I have fixed. I have interchangeables. There are times that I'm like, oh, we don't have a lot of this in fixed. I'll buy the interchangeable pieces. Oh, we don't, and I don't personally notice a difference, but all of my needles are, either stuck or in a box. So I just keep buying more, but most people can't do that. Mm-hmm. So I would say interchangeable sets are really, really good for somebody who has a very small amount of projects at one time and isn't looking to expand their projects like we do.
And if you only work, like we can get a large size, which is 9 and up, and we can get a small size in the Chowgoo that's 8 and down to 2s. But if you only work with a certain range, like say you work mostly with 6 to 9, getting the whole interchangeable set may not be cost effective for you because you've got needles you're never going to use. You've got tips you're never going to use. So, and if you do a lot of sock knitting, then there are sets just for socks and things, but the most interchangeable sets are going to start bigger than you want. And a lot of sets, you have to consider the length of the tip, because I remember the first kit that I bought was an Addie set, and I was so excited. I spent so much money on it, and then I realized I couldn't make 16-inch circulars for hats because the tip was too long. And I still had to buy the fixed ones for hats, and I was so annoyed. So, but they've started making sets that have shorter tips, but if you don't like the shorter tips, what are you going to be making more? There's a lot of factors that go into that. And if someone has specific questions that they'd like us to reflect upon for interchangeables, you can email for our next show.
Liz@sundragonartandfiber.com.
Because we have to go open the shop. But here's the other thing, is that we have virtual sit and stitch tomorrow night. It is currently Thursday. Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. The floodgates on Zoom will be open, and you can get into our meeting with the shop phone number.
828-877-3550.
And we're going to go get ready for our day and hopefully not get too wet. We'll see. Okay. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye.